I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm and spring forth with a mighty faith to do all that ought to be done by me. Those are the words of Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore on around his 92nd birthday. 92nd birthday. When was the last time that you sizzled? I hear you laughing. Haven't you sizzled lately? Have you found nothing to be that excited about that you've sizzled with zeal and enthusiasm? For me, this calls the word audacious. Audacious, living life in a way that is bold and bright, that is daring. It's not playing small. It's living life shamelessly, without guilt or apology, living our truth unabashedly and unrestrained. When was the last time you did something without restraint? Oh, we're full-grown adults now. We have to behave like adults, don't we? Well, who said? Spend some time with Kathy and the kids and give up a little bit of that adulting. Yeah, what if and what might life look like if we lived without restraint? If we loved without restraint? What if we laughed without restraint? When was the last time that you had a good belly laugh? When? Was it this morning? Not yet? Was it yesterday? You know, there's a saying, laughter's the best medicine, and this is true. Laughter ignites a lot within us. Do you have a laugh buddy? Do you have somebody that you can pick up the phone and call and just laugh, just for pure joy of laughing? I used to have a laugh buddy. Oh, we would just laugh. And you can laugh spontaneously. Nothing has to tickle your fancy. You can just laugh spontaneously. But we forget to do that. What if we shared our presence without restraint? Now, everybody in this space and those of you who are at home, you're here, and so you're conscious of your spiritual life. You're growing and nurturing your spiritual life with intention and with efforting and with attention to it. What if you shared that with others without restraint? What if you shared your voice? What if you shared your voice, your truth? What if you lived your faith out loud in a way that was noticeable and remarkable? What if people could look at you and say, yes, I know that you have some practice, some faith that you're committed to, something that you abide by? What if we lived that kind of audaciousness? I think that the world needs us to sizzle. I think that the world needs us to spring forth with a mighty faith, not a meek and mild little itty-bitty faith, a bold and bright faith. Whatever it was that drew you to these unity teachings, live them out loud, boldly. Shout them from the mountaintops, not with your words necessarily, but with that fifth unity principle through your thoughts, words, and actions. What if we did that? We sizzled and sprang forth to do everything that's ours to do. Do you hear a little nudge sometimes and say, oh, well, I'll do that later? Or, oh, well, not really me. You can't mean me. Have you ever done that? Sure, I have. Yes. Get past it, because the world needs all of you now. What is ours to do? What does our faith call us to do? Our fifth unity principle reminds us of that. And then I think about Scripture, and it's all over the Scripture of what is ours to do. The first thing when I think of that comes to mind every single time is, what does the Lord require of you? To do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God. Micah 6:8. That's one that sits in my heart always. So let's break that one down a little bit. When we consider the Scripture through a metaphysical lens, not literally, this Lord, what does the Lord require of you? The Lord, our I am consciousness, our divinity, our highest consciousness. What does our highest being require of us? What does that high part of ourself, when we get beyond the gossip, the drudgery of the world? And Charles Fillmore says this about justice. When judgment is divorced from love and works from our head, all alone, judgment alone, there goes forth a human cry for justice. In the mere human judgment is hard and heartless, punishing without consideration of motive or cause, and justice goes awry. When justice and love meet at the heart center, there is balance, there is poise, there is righteousness, there is right beingness. So what does our highest consciousness require of us? To do justice. That's action. To do justice. To love mercy. Webster says that mercy is benevolence. It is tenderness of heart. It is a disposition that tempers judgment. It is favor, blessing, compassion. Charles Fillmore says, mercy is the Christ-like treatment toward the suffering. The Christ-like treatment toward the suffering. Period. All of the suffering. Christ-like treatment towards all beings, not just the ones that I have discerned might be deserving. Surprised who I might leave out of that. But the Christ-like treatment toward all the suffering. So we are to do justice and love mercy and to walk humbly. Humility is, Webster says, freedom from pride and arrogance. That feels pretty good, doesn't it? We want to walk around confident, but maybe not prideful, so that we can stay out of our own way. And we certainly don't want to be arrogant, right? But we can still be bold and audacious without being arrogant. And Charles Fillmore adds, recognition that the personal human by themselves is ineffectual, that it is not I, but the Christ within that does the work. It is not that small I, the human I. It is that divine I, that I am I, that does the work. It is that divine in us, moving and inspiring us, that does the work. So let's live audaciously. Let's use our voice. Let's use our thought power that Charles Fillmore calls spiritual thought stuff. a true spiritual term, our spiritual thought stuff. Let's use our posture, our essence, our presence to do justice, to love mercy, and to walk humbly. And when I think of audacious, I can't help but think of Matthew 5. You have heard it said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemy and pray for those who persecute you, so that you may be like your Father in heaven. Since he causes the sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain upon the righteous and the unrighteous. For if you love those who love you, what reward do you have? Even the tax collectors do the same, don't they? And if you only greet your brother, what more do you do? For even sinners do the same. So it's easy to love. Oh my gosh, look around. To love the people in this room, it's easy. To love my group of friends, easy. No challenge, no work, no effort there. But to love the ones that persecute you, is it not bold and brazen to love the ones that you think and call enemy? That's like takes some audacious living. Isn't it not a wild idea to love the person who's persecuting you, the person who's talking smack about you, to love them? That's bold. That's audacious. Let's keep going with these audacious ways, living in a way, because it's all spelled out in the Bible. Luke 6:37. Do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you shall be forgiven. That's a lot. I'll only speak for myself when I say, don't judge. Oh my goodness. Some days I'm just a big, bad judging machine. I turn on the news and see what happens around our country and around our world, and I'm really eager to put right and wrong, bad and good, evil, and oh my goodness, I put people in those boxes, and there shall they stay. Oh my. None of you do that, I'm sure. It's easy to judge. But we know when we're judging. We know when we're putting somebody in a box of right or wrong. Mostly wrong so that we can be right, so that I can be right. They have to be wrong. And then this idea of forgiveness, also spelled in this passage. Now, forgiveness is something that I can latch on to. I enjoy a good forgiveness practice. Charles Fillmore is said to have a forgiveness practice that he used each and every day. And after I've fussed and fumed because I felt offended by someone or something, then I might get around to, okay, I forgive. But how often is that very first thought, when I notice my feelings are hurt, to move into, oh, I forgive you? Is that my first thought? Is that your first thought? No, it takes me a minute. I have to go through all that human processing and spewing to get to that. So how audacious would it be if I just allowed someone the grace and the mercy and the privilege to be who and what they are at any given moment, and know that they are being their best self in that moment. Okay, it hurt my feelings, but I can forgive them. It didn't hurt me. It didn't cause me physical pain. It was an oversight, whatever. Now, there are things that, of course, in our life that are in a totally different category when we talk about forgiveness. You know, abuse, physical harm to others, and that's a category of their own. But our everyday words and slights, those things that we feel so fussy about. What if? How audacious might I be by just moving to forgiveness? And then we have 1 Thessalonians 5:17 that says, pray constantly. Pray without ceasing. to me. Pray instead of complaining. Well, that's pretty bold. Pray instead of gossiping. Well, where's the fun in that? Pray instead of judging. Pray instead of condemning. Pray instead of othering. Pray instead of worrying. This one scripture alone, if I lived that, I could be living very audaciously. And then Philippians 2:14, do everything without grumbling or arguing. Everything. Do it all without grumbling or arguing. If you can't do a task without grumbling or fussing about it, if you can't do a task without love, compassion, or kindness in your heart, don't do it. If you can't wash the dishes without love in your heart, let them sit. Because as you wash those dishes, you're preparing them for the next person who will take a meal from them. It might even be yourself. Wouldn't it be audacious to fill them with love so that the next person who uses them receives your love and not your complaining and fussing? If you can't vacuum your home without fussing, don't do it. Because as you move through your house, you're pouring that energy through it. So vacuum with love. Fold the laundry and infuse it with love. When my children were little, I loved to fold their clothes, those teeny tiny baby clothes. And as I did, I would infuse them with love. Know that when I wrapped them in it, I was wrapping them in my love. Do that with your own clothes. Infuse them with love. So stop grumbling and arguing and fill yourself with love so that all you do is done with love. And finally, for me, there's Matthew 22. You know, those Pharisees and Sadducees, they just really like to get Jesus off guard, but they failed miserably at that endeavor. So they noticed they were trying Jesus, and they asked Jesus, so what's the greatest commandment? Well, of course, Jesus said to them, love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your strength, and all your mind. Love God. And the second commandment, he went on to say, is very much like it, to love your neighbor as yourself. Without judging, without condemning, always sharing our abundance and our bounty with those who are in need, those who are suffering, always forgiving. Let that be our default, and always loving. Just imagine what a day might be lived in this way. Always creating justice, always loving mercy, and always walking humbly. Imagine how powerful a presence you will be if you live audaciously and live boldly. Imagine how powerful we might be in the world if we are consciously, constantly praying. Imagine the power that will move if we were doing everything without fussing, without arguing. And I'm going to go back to that daily word sentence this morning. I am a spiritual being, a glorious expression of God. And to fulfill that glorious expression, I think it calls us to live audaciously, boldly and bravely, without restraint. in all that we do. So let's carry that idea of audacious living, being, and speaking into our days. And use the words, I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm and spring forth with a mighty faith to do all that ought to be done, me. And we always conclude with 1 Corinthians 16:14. Speak it with me. Let all you do be done with love. Namaste.